Arizona loses against Wisconsin. What can Arizona fans take away from this? What isn't a big deal? What is a big deal?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. The show is brought to you today by FanDuel. Check it out, FanDuel. Put down $5 and get $150 in free plays if that bet hits. Okay, now Arizona, Wisconsin. This is an interesting game. First of all, I don't take a ton away from this game. Kudos to Wisconsin on the win. John Tonji, obviously, really, really good. Listen. When you have this was a very silly officiated game. If you have 22 free throws to one, no matter what the case may be, that's absurd. Now, the refs tried to, even things out throughout the game, but again, 22 free throws to one or whatever it was, that is going to put a team incredibly off balance. So there is that. Now, I will say this, as far as the things that Arizona has to worry about, though, defensively, this was not a good defensive performance, obviously. And not only was it not a good defensive performance, it was an atrocious defensive performance. One thing I do not understand about Tommy Lloyd, and I love Tommy Lloyd. That's one thing that we need to be very clear here. I hope Tommy Lloyd is here for 40 years, because if he were to hit the open market, every school in the country would want him. He's that good. Again, I'm not really breaking any news right here as about how good Tommy Lloyd is. But there are a couple things. Defensively, it just doesn't seem to be a massive priority for him when it comes to the defending the three-point shot. And I don't know exactly why that's the case, but that just is the case. And it's weird because it feels like we've had two different coaches here. With Sean Miller, he was hedging everything out to 87 feet. And with Tommy Lloyd, he will not hedge anything. I don't understand what exactly the thought process is on that, especially when you're going against teams that can shoot the ball. That has been an issue. Excuse me. That has been an issue. The perimeter defense has been an issue for him, basically his entire tenure at the University of Arizona. So that I don't really get. And the problem, too, when you're dealing with something like that is that when a team starts getting going, it's difficult to be able to stop them, especially a team with not a lot of guys that can make plays off the bounce. And there's certainly something where it's like, after a while, you're like, all right, well, the floodgates have opened. So I do not quite understand that. I've never really understood what that philosophy is there, but whatever. Defensively, like I said, I'm a little bit worried about it, but I don't take away a ton from this game because, again, when you start out a game 22-1 from the free throw line, I don't care how it played out after that. That's absurd. It's impossible for a team to get into any kind of rhythm. You don't know exactly what's going on there, so there's that. Now, there are some things that I think were good for Arizona and bad. Second of all, you can't miss free throws. You can't shoot, 26 of 38 or whatever the case may be. You can't shoot free throws like that and expect to win basketball games. That's just not going to happen. Not only will it not happen, it is going to be a massive issue for you if you can't make those free throws. They're called free for a reason. Utilize them. So there's obviously that as well. Now, when it comes to Jaden Bradley, listen. I love Jaden Bradley. He is such an upgrade over Kylan Boswell from last year. He can do a lot of different things out on the court, as you saw. With Jaden, though, there's a couple things that you got to pick up. Defensively, he's fantastic. But he's got to make his free throws. First, you don't make your free throws, it's difficult to win, especially when you're going to have such a role like he is. I mean, he is going to play the entire game, so he's got to be able to make his free throws. Plus, he's going to be getting to the free throw line a lot, so you've got to factor that in. If you're getting to the free throw line a lot, well, guess what? You got to be able to convert those. The assist factor, not a lot of this, obviously no assists. You got to. He's not going to really be ever your traditional point guard in that role. I don't know that I put a ton of credence in that, but I will say that At that stage, though, you're kind of like, well, it just kind of is what it is. But Bradley, overall, I think is going to have a monster season. Caleb Love, listen, I like Caleb Love. I fully realize that he is far from a perfect player. Again, if you're if you're playing your 5th year of college basketball, you're here for a reason. So there's that. But that technical foul he got, that cannot happen. He's too important to the team, and on top of that, that basically gave Wisconsin 8 points. That cannot happen under any circumstances. That was a massive turning point in the game because Arizona had got it back to being tied, and then it's like 24-16, whatever the case may be. Caleb's got to be smarter than that. Caleb's got to be much, much smarter than that, and he's going to have bad shooting nights. We've seen this with Caleb where he is going to have bad shooting nights, and that is going to be he's going to have a little bit of an issue. So there's that. But he's got to be able, again, I'm going to keep saying this, he's got to be able to get to the line. He's got to be able to get to the line more than he has, than he has in the past. He's got to be able to get to the line, and if you don't, because there's no reason really that he can't. Now, we're going to talk about the rest of the offense here in just a second. But first, FanDuel. All right, here's the deal with FanDuel. Right now, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You got the NFL here, you got college football here, you got college basketball here. Check out FanDuel, my friends. Another one that you're going to thank me later on. This is, if you got a hunch during the game, if you're saying, man, I think that this is going to work out or that's going to work out, why not just go to FanDuel and do it for yourself? Again, going to thank me later. Check it out, FanDuel.com. And again, this is the best time of the year to be able to bet. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now let's talk a little bit now about where Arizona is with the rest of the offense. Now, it's not going to be a great shooting team. I think that's fair to say. But the most important thing for me, and again, we've seen all of Tommy Lloyd's teams, they have gone ice cold at times. You need people that can get to the free throw line. And that's really just the way it is. You need people to get to the free throw line. And if you get people to get to the free throw line, it's going to make things a lot easier for you. Arizona shot 40 free throws, so that's obviously a good part of the equation. And that's something that Arizona did not have last year. That's something that that's something that is that's big. It's really big. And I think that's something that's going to travel. Tommy Lloyd's teams have been a little bit of they've been a little bit of an enigma in the postseason because with free throws, it's just been not good. It's just, they haven't been able to get to the line. They've just shot 3-pointers and they've not made 3-pointers. So there's that. So that was something that I think he calculated this offseason. And again, I think it's going to travel. I think it's going to make Arizona more difficult to beat come NCAA tournament time. I'm a big fan of what that can do. The other players, I think Trey Townsend really started to figure things out. I like him. Hopefully everything is okay with him. I think he's going to be okay. I look for the big man. I look for Mount Crevis to be, to get better as the season went on. You could tell that he hasn't played a ton. And, when you haven't played a ton, you're going to beat if you don't play a ton, you're going to, you're going to have some issues like that. So there is, that's obviously that. But Awaka, rebounds. There's a lot of parts to this team that just fit, but again, there are some weaknesses. Again, we're going to keep talking about it. That perimeter defense was not good. You're giving up, and it felt a lot like the Purdue game last year where you're just giving up a lot of wide open 3-pointers. But I think at some point you might have to just say that that's part of the calculation that Tommy Lloyd has made. I don't know that I agree with that. As a matter of fact, I don't, but it is what it is. Now, the one thing with Arizona, though, going forward is this is a very talented team. And I expect, I expect if Arizona was to play Wisconsin 10 times, neutral court, Arizona's winning 8 or 9 of those. They just are. Period. That game to me, again, was kind of fluky. Again, you got to give Wisconsin credit for winning that game, but at the end of the day, I also know what my eyes saw. And it was an odd game that I do believe that Arizona would handle them on a neutral court. Hopefully, Arizona can get them again. Now, when it comes to some of the other issues when it comes to looking ahead now, you got Duke coming up here. This would be the most Arizona thing ever with Duke. We are going to talk about that because with Duke. Duke looks really, really good, obviously, but Duke is also not a Duke is also a team that is beatable. Arizona. People forget this. I mean, Arizona went into Cameron last year and beat Duke, so there's definitely a track record for that. We're going to talk about that in just a second, but first. Gametime. Check it out. Gametime. Okay, here's the deal with Gametime. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app. What time is it? Gametime. Ooh. Okay, with Gametime too, you're saying, man, I'd really like to go to that Arizona Duke game. But I don't know how to get tickets. Gametime will have you covered, my friends. Check it out at Gametime. Again, got a lot of cool events coming up here. Be part of it with Gametime. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now let's talk a little bit now about where we're at with Arizona and Duke. That would be the most Arizona thing ever, to lose to Wisconsin and then beat Duke. Listen, Arizona beat Duke last year. Tommy Lloyd's teams generally play well against good teams. Maybe that's why they didn't play well against Wisconsin. Don't know. But against Duke, that's a different animal entirely. It's going to be a big game. Obviously, you got Cooper Flagg, you got the big man, you got Knickel or whatever his name is, Proctor. I look for Arizona to bounce back in this game. I really do. This is, with Tommy Lloyd, I don't think that he's ever lost 2 games in a row. I could be mistaken on that. Maybe he has. But either way, the track record speaks for itself. That's going to be a big game, though. And I think that Arizona's going to bounce back because Arizona's got height. You got athleticism. You can't just let them shoot wide open threes. Hopefully, there has been a deviation from that. But that's kind of where I'm at, though, with this game. You can basically erase all of this if you beat Duke. And then you got the Battle of Atlantis coming up as well. But my big thing, too, with Arizona fans is to just chill out a little bit because, again, there's pretty much 99.5% of teams in the country would trade program history and trade their current program for the success that Arizona has. Tommy Lloyd is the man. Is he perfect? No, but he's also really good. And I think people need to realize that. So take a deep breath here. That was an odd game. Again, 22 free throws to 1, and they were calling some really, really ticky-tack ones. And in the second half, they opened it up. It didn't make a ton of sense. But either way, loss is a loss. Moving on to Duke, though, that's going to be a big game. If you can get that win, because Duke probably is the most talented team in the country. I do think that Arizona matches up fairly well with them. We will see how that one plays out. But it's going to be a late tip off as well. So have that ready. But like I said, frustrating performance against Wisconsin. I don't take a ton away from this game from a concern aspect. Pretty much all my stuff still in play with this, and we're going to see how this one plays out. But we're also next show, we are going to have an Arizona football post-game show because Arizona football won. And you know what? They took care of business against Houston. So we got to give them a little bit of a shout out as well. Give them a little bit of love. So we'll talk Arizona football next. And then all week we're going to be talking about Arizona basketball, who they're going to be playing, and then Arizona football. You got TCU, then you got ASU coming up. But as always, very, very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. Again, big stuff going on here for Arizona, and we'll keep you up to date on it. But bear down, back the A, and have a great, great rest of your day.